The goal of any sales call is simple. It's to identify what the prospect wants changed and identify what success looks like to them. But then it's your job to create a very clear path that will get the prospect either further away from pain or closer to their version of heaven. Yet most salespeople, they seem incapable of actually asking the prospect to map out what they want. And they'll take a guess based on a one-size-fits-all pitch, and they just hope that it lands. But the problem with hope is that hope is not a unit of measurement, and it's a surefire way to live a very mediocre sales career, just kind of guessing and hoping things hit as you want them to. But I'll give you an example. So imagine you're a dad in his 40s, and you tell the salesperson that you're feeling a little bit unfit, and you'd like to lose a little bit of weight, maybe get a little bit more energy. And then the salesperson asks you how unfit you really are and how that makes you feel. And you just tell them, I don't feel as good as I used to. And then you see that switch in them and it starts. And then the salesperson, he tells you that you're the perfect fit and he's going to get you absolutely jacked and you're going to have a six-pack by summer and you're going to love what you see in the mirror. And you're going to be ready to rip out that beach body just in time. And all you can think is, what the hell is this guy talking about? I don't want a six-pack, and I don't even live near the beach. And besides, my wife hates sand in the house. So even if I did live near the beach, I'm not going to be going. And you're also thinking that I never said I don't like what I see in the mirror. I just want to have more energy so that when I get home, I can play with my kids. And lose a little bit of weight, sure, but a six-pack. No thanks. This is not the place for me. And it's very clear to you in that situation that he paid no attention. And what I mean by this, I'll share my iPad and I'll take you through physically what this actually looks like. Okay, so as I said at the beginning, our goal as salespeople is to get people to map out where they are now and where they want to go. So what we have here, you have current, you have heaven. This typically, current, is what most people think of as pain, as the situation that they're trying to get away from. But then this up here, heaven, what success looks like on the back of them actually deciding to work with you. And it's our job to map out one, whoops, that's not a one, that looked like a two. One, where they are, and then two, where they want to go. And then bridge this gap. We need to position our solution to be what gets them from point one to point two with as little friction as possible. But what we also need to do as part of the sales call is have them realize that they don't have the ability to bridge that gap themselves. Yet, what happened in the example? So heaven, genuine heaven for that guy, would have been more energy to be able to play with his kids. And then you find out what his kids' names are and what it's like when he actually does get home and what kind of games they want to play with him, where they would be able to go, what he would be able to do. But what happens, and this is what most people do, is instead of focusing on the actual heaven, they kind of end up, we'll say over here, and we'll say assumed heaven. And what you end up with there is just this massive gap between what they actually want, which is up here, and what we've just pitched them, which is there. Now, as you can see, this here is the gap that we're trying to bridge. But if you're assuming that this is where they want to go and you end up bridging this gap here, they can't see, they can't feel, they can't understand essentially what you're going to do because it's not it's not their success that you mapped out. It's your idea of what their success is or should be because the salesperson, you being the salesperson, didn't pay enough attention. But what's the alternative? So as an example or an exercise right now, I want you to imagine what success looks like to you. And genuinely take a minute or two, write these down if you have to. I'll go through some questions. So in your world of success, where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with? How did you wake up? How do people see you? How much money do you have in the bank? What are you able to do that you can't do right now? And was there ever a time that you had maybe even 10% of that feeling? If yes, when was it? And then walk yourself through, say it out loud, or walk me through what that was actually like. Now, if that's what it felt like to be at 10%, imagine you at 100% of that feeling. What would that be like? Do you think it would be the same or even more? What's just happened there is you've probably just painted yourself a picture of what heaven looks like to you. You can see it, you can feel it as well, and there's emotion involved. And that feeling, if you genuinely took the time, answered those questions, that feeling that you have when you're mapping that out, that's what we're actually selling. And it's not a six-pack, it's not more money, it's that feeling. And it's our job to stick with the prospect and ask them questions about success. You know, what it looks like, who's there, who they're with, have they ever had it before? When was that? You get the idea. And we're selling the bridge to that feeling. So we need to get them to the point where they want to buy that feeling, which is our solution to get them to that feeling. Now, just to kind of re-summarize, when you're on a call, slow down, pay attention to what's going on in the prospect's world. Try to understand where they are and where they want to go, and sit with them in those questions. Don't just ask the next question on the list. Genuinely try and find out what their version of success looks like so you can paint a very clear bridge to that, and take quality notes on the call so that you can articulate the prospect's idea of success back to them. Because when you say that, when you say, this is where you're going, this is what you want to do, this is why, this is how we're going to get you to ABC 1, 2, 3, this is what we've done with people in the past similar to you. When you say that back to them, you want it to be so personalized that they do that. Perfect. This is what I want. And that's how you make it a no-brainer sale. But look, if you found this helpful and you want to see more, make sure you hit subscribe. But if you have any questions on what was covered, or you have some topics that you'd like me to go through in the future, chuck a comment down below. Cheers.